Their Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana program has been creating forever families for 35 years. Now this evening, we've made a small change because the adoption story you're about to see, it's not just one story, but two deeply moving journeys that are truly woven together. The first is a family's adoption journey through Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana. The second is a story that's rarely seen, the story of the St. Elizabeth staff who were entrusted with the care of a baby with complex medical needs and who walked that path with unwavering compassion, constant prayer, and the weight of literal life and death decisions. And while Mark Casper is famously devoted to staying on schedule, some might even say infamous, there are moments when a story deserves a little extra room. Tonight's one of those moments. Let's take a look at Mary Beth and Carl's journey.
Since our adoption journey began, we have welcomed two special little boys into our family with adoption through Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana. We are very grateful to be here today to share more about our family's adoption journey with you all. In 2019, after years of infertility and loss, we made the decision to start on an adoption journey. I'll be honest, when we made that decision, we knew very little about adoption, and we quickly found out there was so much to learn. Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana immediately got to work educating us on the joys and the grief that comes with adoption. Our family took it a step further to learn everything we could about adoption, supporting birth families, and what an open adoption meant. That research and education called us to want an open adoption if possible for any future children we may parent. We didn't know exactly what that would look like, but we were open to finding out. Think back to what you were doing in 2020 when the pandemic began. For our family, it was a time of great joy, but also great uncertainty. This was because in 2020, after 7 years of marriage and 12 years together, we finally had the opportunity to share our love and our lives with a child. During all the business closures, mask wearing, working from home, and even the toilet paper shortages, our family was matched with an expectant family who was looking to place their child for adoption. Just over a year after starting on this adoption journey, and after one disrupted adoption, we received a call from Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana that an expectant family wanted to meet us to discuss placing their child with us. It was a roller coaster of emotions. We were overjoyed, nervous, scared, hopeful, and worried. We immediately had so much respect and empathy for the family and what they must have been going through to come to the decision to place a child for adoption. A few weeks later, we were able to meet in a socially distanced way, of course, with this expecting family. I remember everyone in the room being so nervous. After breaking the ice, expectant mom shared with us her hopes for her son. She wanted him to have a family and parents who would love him, support him, and be able to give him a stable home. It was truly an honor for us to hear her share her hopes and dreams. Every day since, we have worked hard to honor our promises to her and how we show up. Through this experience, we learned that just because someone cannot parent a child doesn't mean that they can't add value to a child's life. We truly looked forward to getting to know more about our son's biological family through an open adoption. It was just 2 weeks after this meeting when we held our son Wyatt in our arms for the first time. He was the sweetest, teeniest 5-pound little guy. We were so overwhelmed with emotion and gratitude for the gift of getting to know him and to parent him. During our time in the hospital with Wyatt, we were also able to get to know his biological family more, and we made a plan for an open relationship in the future. Wyatt's biological family made such a difficult decision in choosing to place him for adoption. We wanted them to always feel supported and loved through the process and long after. In Wyatt's 5 years, he has grown into the most active, observant, adventurous boy. He has so much energy and is thriving in all areas of his life. He loves to swim, flip at gymnastics, spend time outside, and explore. Travel was important to his biological family, and we've been able to take him on trips within the U.S. as well as internationally, showing him new places whenever possible. He has a great sense of humor and loves to be the center of attention. Just like any 5-year-old, he asks about 1,000 questions a day. As Wyatt has grown, so has our relationship with his biological family. We meet with his biological family several times a year, making time to celebrate special occasions together. We send photos and check in with each other regularly. His family has gotten to be a part of his life from the beginning through Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana, instilling the importance of open adoption. Our family has grown so much through developing these relationships. The more people loving our son, the better. We have learned to love deeper, respect everyone's journey in life, and we have grown exponentially in patience and understanding. This adoption experience has made us into better people and better parents. Our first experience with Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana called us to want to adopt again. We again began waiting, knowing that we had room in our hearts and our family for another little one. Little did we know the journey that was waiting for us.
On November 2nd, 2023, I received a call that none of us will ever forget. On the other end of the line was a birth mother whose voice carried both strength and surrender. Through her tears, she shared her desire to make an adoption plan for her baby. She told us she chose ABOK because we are a faith-based organization, because she was Catholic, and because she believed with a mother's deepest hope that her son would be placed in a home filled with love, faith, and unwavering support. The very next day, I met with her. The birth mother spoke only Spanish, but no translation was needed for the joy that filled the room. Despite the uncertainty surrounding her baby's fragile health, she smiled. She was relieved. She knew she was not alone anymore. For nearly 2 hours, we sat together, not as strangers, but as women connected by a child and a sacred plan. When we parted, I promised I would check on her later that week. That call came sooner than any of us expected. Late that night, my phone rang. Through urgency and fear came the news. I will be taken in for an emergency C-section. Liam was born that night, weighing only 1 pound, 3 ounces, tiny, fragile, and fighting for his life from his very first breath.
Every adoption is unique, but this was an adoption story I would never forget. The birth family was told during an ultrasound that there were many issues and survival was low. Due to previous traumas, this family made the most sacrificial decision. Despite what the medical team shared, the birth mom decided she would not terminate the pregnancy. She was asked that the sweet baby be placed with St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities. She trusted the agency to do what's right. This trust weighed heavy on me, but it's what carried me through this sweet baby story. The baby was born at 23 weeks. Stephanie and I rushed to be by his side. At the time, we were all he had. He faced numerous medical emergencies. Every day was touch and go as we watched this tiny baby on a ventilator. It was unreal to see a baby so tiny and fighting for his every breath. We took shifts by his incubator and spent time in prayer. I prepared in my mind that him being healed in heaven may be more likely than through the medical interventions. Placing him with a family seemed like a far dream. At this point, we were his family and determined that he would not be alone during the good or the bad. I'll never forget Stephanie saying that she didn't want him to pass away with BUFA on his bed tag. This stands for Baby Up for Adoption, which is a common practice at hospitals prior to the baby being named. He was a person, he was loved, and he needed a name. Stephanie named him Gabriel, and we continued to carry hope that only God can provide with such bleak circumstances. Many procedures later and numerous close calls, and Gabriel continued to defy odds. God continued to move, and we reached Gabriel's first Christmas. He would continue to have ups and downs in the NICU, but it was time to look for a family. Not knowing the extent of his health needs, but knowing he was nowhere near leaving the hospital, how could we find a family that was prepared for a medically fragile child? Once again, God provided for Gabriel. It is so common for us to look at the situation and then make a determination about the outcome. Every day for months, we didn't know what was going to happen. However, we stood on the ground of hope and full trust in God. Gabriel's story continues to be one of hope, but now also love and devotion from his family that God provided through adoption.
Through all this baby's medical challenges, Mary Beth and Carl called and checked in constantly, asking for every update, holding Liam in their hearts long before they could hold him in their arms. Then came January 29, 2024, a day that felt nothing short of holy. Mary Beth and Carl met Liam for the very first time, and in that moment, everything changed. It was love at first sight, the kind of love that is quiet, fierce, and forever.
It's January 29th, and we got to meet you for the first time.
From that day forward, Mary Beth and or Carl were at the hospital every single day, sitting beside him, talking to him, loving him, willing him to keep fighting, already living as his parents in every way that mattered. Liam's story is a story of courage, of sacrifice, of faith, and of a love so powerful that it carried a tiny baby through the hardest days of his life and into the arms of the family who had been waiting and praying for him.
I vividly remember the day we found out about the baby who would become our younger son. We were at an Adoption Awareness Month walk in November with Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana, and the adoption director told the group about a baby the agency was expecting to be born at the end of January, who may have some medical issues. The second I heard about this case, I truly felt God whisper in my ear that this baby was going to be a part of our family in some way. We didn't know it at the time, but our second son was born that same day, 12 weeks early, and Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana lovingly gave him the name Gabriel, which means God is my strength. Gabriel proved that name right in his first 2 months of life. Born at 1 pound, 3.6 ounces, and only 11 inches long, he was smaller than expected for a 28-weeker and a little fighter. He was rushed to the NICU immediately after birth on life support. While we were not able to be a part of the first few months of his life due to his critical condition, doctors told us there were many times when they did not think he would make it through the night. His condition was so dire, he underwent multiple surgeries, medical procedures, and line placements before he was even due to be born. When I think back to that time in his life, I'm filled with so much emotion. Such a tiny baby, so innocent, helpless, and fighting for his life every day. The moment we walked into his hospital room, the ventilator was humming, alarms were dinging, IV pumps were beeping, but we found a piece of our hearts that we didn't know was missing. From that moment on, we wanted to love Gabriel and provide what comfort we could to his life for as long as he had. The 459 plus 7 days he spent in the NICU were filled with so many ups and downs. There were several occasions when his journey appeared to be coming to an end, but our purpose remained the same, to love and comfort Gabriel as a part of our family. The day he officially joined our family through adoption was one of the most emotional days of my life. Our family sat in his NICU room, surrounded by the nurses and doctors who had done so much for him, and the Adoption Bridges of Kentuckiana personnel who had been there for him through his difficult journey and were able to recognize being legally a family for the first time. After leaving the NICU, his journey has been wrought with health challenges, but he's lived and gotten to know a home, to know the love of a family, and to know the joys of life outside of the hospital. In the bright spots between his tough days, he has laughed with his older brother, gone to the zoo, swam in a pool, ridden on a boat at the lake, visited state parks, learned to drink from a cup, felt the sunshine on his face, and so much more. And he continues to show us how strong he is. After suffering a 37-minute cardiac arrest in the hospital in May of 2025, we did not know if our son would be able to experience the joys of home again. Through a true miracle, he was able to persevere and come out of that event to his home with our family. This event and the unclear road to recovery afterwards was the most challenging thing our family has ever experienced. Our little fighter has changed our lives and our hearts forever. He has taught us more about compassion. This journey made us realize the unspoken hardships those around us face with a smile. He has taught us to slow down and be grateful for all the good days. To say adoption has changed our lives would be an understatement. Adoption has shattered what we knew about life and rebuilt it in a more valuable way. Like the Japanese art of kintsugi, mending broken pottery pieces with gold in the cracks, making the rebuilt pottery much more valuable than the original, our lives are richer, more beautiful, and much more valuable because of the love adoption has brought into our family. None of this would be possible without the agencies like St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities providing resources to those who need it so more lives can be lived with love.
I hope you can see why that decision was made by Mark to give it some room. What a story. We appreciate you, Mary Beth and Carl. We appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability, and we appreciate that you shared such a personal experience. Thank you.